Welcome back to another YoungPro podcast. I'm Ethan Montang, and sadly today my co-host has COVID, so he won't be joining us, but I'm lucky to have both the girls here, and I am with Ivy and Shania Moore, 26 years old and been together for 7 years. They have been studying real estate for a year and made their first passive investment about a few months ago. And Shania recently has been blown up on Instagram and has 100,000 followers, so I'm really excited to get in their story and learn a bit more about how that's going. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Well, thank you so much for meeting me at 7:30, as we've already said. I might be a little off this morning. I don't normally wake up, but I was here last night trying to get a few things set up because we were supposed to have Dustin with us, and we were gonna have to do like a 4-person setup. But as it's only made for 3, so I was getting creative last night. But tell me about the move to Dallas a little bit before we jump into your backstory. How did that all come about? Since you guys are from Iowa.
Yeah, so really the decision that we made to move down to Texas actually happened quite a few months ago. It was always like a thought and, a thought that we would do because we joined a mentorship to learn about apartment syndication. So we were like, where's the best place to invest in apartments? Texas. Everyone in our community, a lot of people live down there. So we always thought about it, but then we ended up recently getting new jobs that are based in Dallas. So now we're making the move on Friday. We'll start driving down there like 5 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what is your job descriptions down there?
So I am the director of operations for a multifamily mentoring company, and I get to help piece together all of the different departments in the company, and it's a rather small company, so I get to be a part of helping them scale.
That's awesome. And what did you do, or what are you doing? Because you said you work for them too now as well.
Yeah. So I've done sales for the past 3 years, and so now I'm transferring that to this position as well. So just getting people involved in the mentorship program, which is really cool.
That's
I get to meet everybody coming in.
Yeah. Now, is that salary based or commission based?
It's all commission based.
Oh,
it's risky, right?
Yeah, it is risky.
But I'm used to it.
So your other sales job was commission as well?
Yeah, it started out just purely commission, and then they eventually brought in like a base. But yeah, it wasn't much. So you just got to really grind and make the money. But you can make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And what were you selling?
So before I was selling like an ag advisory service. So
what?
that's a typical Iowa, right?
An ag?
Agriculture.
Okay.
Advising farmers on when to buy and sell their corn, beans, wheat, just based on the market movements.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to college?
No.
So
for one day, actually, I did.
And
I did not go back.
You're like, that's enough of that.
It was enough.
What about you? Did you go to college?
No college.
So neither college.
I actually tried 3 times to go to college, and it never worked out. And probably the best situation for me
that ever happened. Yeah.
And
you guys met out of high school or in high school?
Yeah, so I guess she knew about me in high school. So I'm from a town.
Flex.
Yeah. Baxter, Iowa. There's less than 1,000 people there. 25 kids in my graduating class.
Oh.
And she was my rival high school. She went to
Okay.
Colfax.
So you guys had like 32 kids or something?
Yeah, I think I graduated with less than 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I was a military brat, and I went to high school in Germany, and our graduating class was 36. So like I know all about like the small, just community and stuff. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone knows the bad stories and all the good stories. Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe than a lot of the big cities, when you have 400 kids in a class or whatever.
I did go to Marshalltown for a little bit, and so I almost graduated with a class of like 400 people and then moved to Colfax.
I didn't know Marshalltown was that
It's pretty big, yeah.
Well, I guess they probably only have one high school.
Yeah.
Is there one high school? They have like multiple like elementaries and middle schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been up there. Do you guys know who Steve Ames is?
No, I don't think so.
The
name kind of sounds familiar.
He wrote a couple books like Scavenge Your Way to Wealth and Scavenge Your Way to Real Estate Riches, but he's from Marshalltown. He built his empire there. At one point he had over 1,000 units in Iowa. He's now like liquidated out and has gotten into the hotel game, but we're gonna eventually have him on the podcast as well. But yeah, he's from Marshalltown and it's kind of taken over. His home is still there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hear about this real estate journey. You've been studying for a year. What got you to the point of like wanting to start studying real estate?
Yeah, so we were at Tony Robbins UPW. Is when we first heard about it.
Okay.
And so Ivy was part of the Platt group. So she was just in the group of the people that pay like $65K to be in the Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
She's like, what do these people do for a living? Why are these people like have these jets and these cars? And we're scrolling and we see this guy, his name is Brad Sumrock. and it's a picture of him and his wife. They have like matching shoes on. In the background, there's a
So
black
cute.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Behind that is their jet that they just bought, and they're posting about like just how the Tony Robbins community empowered them to be able to just live up to that and buy a jet. And we're like, what does he do?
Yeah.
Well, he invests in real estate. He does apartment syndications. So that really kicked us off. We jumped down the rabbit hole and we were like, we can't start with a syndication. You know, we got to do some fix and flips because, you know, we don't have a lot of capital.
Yeah.
You know, we're pretty young.
What were you working with capital when you first started? Like, how much was in your guys' bank accounts?
So around that time, actually, we had a huge shift, like personally with like how we handled our financials. So I started tracking everything. Like every day I was like line itemizing everything we spent money on. So I actually had a pretty high paying salary at that point.
Okay.
But every month we were still paycheck to paycheck because
Yeah.
we were just
Yeah.
blowing our money on dumb stuff. But once we really nailed that down between December of 21, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, December of 21 to I want to say June. Yeah, May or June, we had almost 50,000 in the bank after being able to
Yeah.
actually sit down and be like, oh my gosh, this is where our money is going. We do not need to be buying stuff like this. Like, it's crazy.
What did you
So-
figure out was your biggest waste of money when doing that?
Amazon.
Well, you know what?
Was that you? Was that you? Or was that you, Ivy?
It was both of
Dude,
us.
I don't
Really?
even know what we have to show for it. But now
So
it's
bad.
literally, it's all books, man. That's what we spend on Amazon, just buying so much books.
Okay, normally wait till the end to get into this, but like, let's hear your favorite financial literacy and probably like your favorite mindset book for both of you.
Reading Rich Dad Poor Dad was a huge flip for me. And I know everybody says that, but like I used to have this really old mindset and I used to like hate Tony Robbins because I thought that he was just some rich guy helping other people get rich. It costs so much money to get in there.
Yeah.
But like there's like a connection too. Like there's a reason why it costs money to get in there. Because the more expensive something is, you have an emotional connection to it and you're going to invest more into it. So when we actually went to UPW and there were people saying like they had spent so much time and energy just saving the money to get there. And then like their life changes when they're in that room.
Yeah.
So that was just really cool to see. And then I had that mindset shift when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad that, you know, rich people are not the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, I used to think that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That
that
was a
was
big,
huge.
big movement for me. So is that, do you think that's your mind shift one or your financial literacy one?
Both.
Both.
Absolutely both.
Have you read Unshakable?
I have not. It is on the shelf.
Yeah, that's a really, because it
Mhm.
doesn't focus on real estate. It really breaks down like Roth IRAs and index funds, and just like that was a pretty good one in opening my mind on other investments outside of real estate. I was already super passionate about real estate, but that was like a huge like, okay, these are the people I can go to that may not be in real estate but may have some money in their 401k or whatever it is that I may be able to use the talents that I have now or the knowledge that I have to kind of get a new audience in.
Yeah.
What about you?
I want to say, I mean, I love Rich Dad Poor Dad, but Tony Robbins also wrote Money Master the Game.
I haven't
Yeah.
read that one, but I've heard that's really good.
It's a freaking Bible, but I loved it just because it talked a lot about financial independence, financial security, and like it really layers those. Like, okay, when you're making this much money passively, that's covering your expenses. Okay, now the next level is this, and it just keeps going until you're at like ultimate financial freedom.
That's a fat book, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's-
400 plus pages or something. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
it being
yeah.
pretty
But
big.
it really helped us like define our goals and like,
Mhm.
oh, this is like this level we need to be at to be financially independent or the security and just go on
Yeah.
from there.
Okay.
But yes, that was
Yeah,
pretty
it
good.
was a good
too.
one. Yeah. Do you have a mindset one, or are you using that book for both?
I feel like I've got my probably number one mindset one would be living untethered. That one's really interesting. It gets really deep into
It's kind of
like,
spiritual, right?
it's pretty spiritual, yeah,
Yeah.
but it like gets really deep into like, you know, you are not the physical you, like I don't know, like who you are really, and it's so hard to explain. You gotta read this book, and it's not even too big.
Living Untethered?
Yeah, living untethered, like
By-
the human predicament or
Huh.
something.
Who's it by?
I don't remember. I'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
You've seen
yeah,
him
yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
haven't you?
I don't think so.
He was in the Bahamas because you're at Tony Robbins.
I don't think that I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then another book that has really changed like my life recently has been Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And after you read this book, you will never let yourself sleep less than 7 hours a night, like minimum.
I need to read that.
You need to read that. I
Because
think
I
everyone
am
needs to read that.
notorious for staying up pretty late to work or whatever. Well, all right. What's your couple takeaways from that one?
Yeah. Give us a horror story.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just like does the different studies on like, okay, if you're slightly intoxicated driving versus if you're like tired driving and how if you're intoxicated, what happens is you're just delayed as you're driving. Like reaction is just really delayed.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're tired, you actually fall into micro sleeps where you'll just be driving and then you just go out and then you come back.
Yeah.
So like versus like that when you're just completely shut off versus slightly delayed, you see a lot more deaths. I mean, they're both terrible. Don't do either one. But it's just like crazy because you wouldn't think that being tired would be that scary.
More dangerous than being drunk, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that. Have you heard of The One Thing by Gary Keller?
Mm-mm.
So Gary Keller is the guy who started Keller Williams, which is like one of the biggest real estate brokerages in America. But it talks about how multitasking is a lie, which is a really hard read for me because like I used to pride myself on being a good multitasker, but it like identified that, even computers, they're not actually doing two things at the same time. They're switching back between the data and like it just is going so fast you can't recognize it. So it's like, well, with people, no one person can do two things faster than one person can do one thing with all their attention focused on it, completing that, and then moving to the exact same second thing that the other person was trying to do simultaneously. And it talks about this like lag time that even when you're at work or when you're working and she'll come in and want to talk to you, you have like a second or two delay to like go to address, and then you have a second or two delay to get back to what you're focusing on. And like that in just a day isn't very much, but you add that over a month or a year or a decade, and that adds up to like months of time of lag time. And when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm terrible. There goes a year of my life that I have been unproductive with.
Yeah, I've read about that. So in Limitless by Jim Quick, he talks about that, and he talks a lot about like brain power, and he talks about, does he talk about speed reading? Yeah, he's a speed reader.
A speed reader?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is like how to speed read. So there's like this technique, like really just taking a pen while you're reading and underlining where you're at because your eyes jump around on the page so much. So even just doing that has really helped me out.
Every line?
Yeah, you're just like kind of underlining. You're not like actually like writing on the paper, but or you can use your finger and just kind of trace where you're at. And then something else we do is when you're reading, you're saying the words in your mind instead of visualizing it. And when you're saying the words in your head, you can only go as fast as you can speak, but you can read faster than you can speak. So if you're reading and you count out loud like 1, 2, 3, 4, it gets rid of the internal narrative and you can read faster and understand it.
Really?
Yeah.
I read out loud. Every single time I read,
cool.
I read
It might
out
be
like,
slowing you down.
I feel like that's got to be good for like
it is good
speech,
Yes.
So it's like,
well, I think that's why I'm probably so gifted with numbers, but I'm dyslexic. So like reading when I grew up, like I was in special classes until I was like in end of middle school. I used to just fight my parents to get out of reading, but now like I've gotten significantly better with like public speaking or having to read, in those kind of settings. So I know but yeah, maybe I need to try
that. That'd
Do you
be
feel
interesting.
like you retain less?
No.
So you don't say it in your mind?
Mm-mm.
You visualize the
notice that I
words that you're reading.
But it takes a lot of self-awareness too to notice that you're doing that. Because like you start thinking about it, like, am I saying the words in my head? And then you start saying the words in your head. And so every now and then, like I don't have to do it very often anymore, but I'll just follow where I'm reading, and then every now and then I'll just count out loud, and then it just gets rid of the internal narrative, and I can just flow through it faster.
Okay.
Yeah, like we'll be reading sometimes and just going. I'm like,
yeah, people
do you even know what's going on? Like I imagine when we're on planes, people see us just going.
They're like, there's no way they're reading that fast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about. So we talked about how you got in. Let's talk about like before you made your first investment, maybe some like wins you had or some struggles that you encountered or whatever those individual stories look like for you guys.
Yeah. Something I wanted to mention was the first time we invested in learning about something was a $98 home study course that was about apartment syndication.
Really?
And we had to have a conversation about it.
Spending $98.
Yeah. Even though we were like spending money on a bunch of like bull crap and just random things, we don't even know what it is, going out to eat. Yeah. But then we had to have a conversation like, do we want to spend $100 on this?
And how
are we going to use it?
Yeah.
How did that $98 package line up to some of the other more expensive investments that you guys have made?
So really that's our original mentor. Like not our original mentor. The mentor I have right now, that's his $98 home study course. And so because we heard about him first when we heard about real estate. And then we jumped into, the real estate rabbit hole of all the different things you can do. There's so much. And we knew that we wanted to do syndication, but we just didn't think we'd be able to start there.
Mhm.
So that we had those limiting beliefs that
Yep.
we can't get into that.
Yeah, we don't have the money. We're too young for this.
Mhm.
Like basically, who do we think we are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like you need a loan guarantor. Like we don't have the net worth to cover the loan because that's
Yeah.
one of the things. Like
Yeah.
needing key partners, just or even knowing people to invest with. So there was just no way that we thought that we could do a syndication alone. We hadn't heard about doing co-general partnership.
Mhm.
We just thought we'd be like a sole general partner. So the next thing we invested in, I think it was technically a Bigger Pockets membership.
Okay.
Because then we
Oh,
started
yeah.
practicing analyzing deals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like doing like single family houses and small
Yeah.
multifamily.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like what, $400? So we're starting to go up with
Yeah.
how much we're spending on
And I
like
was like,
investing in
Invest
this.
It sounds
yourself.
like
Yeah.
this better not be a waste of money.
Yeah.
We ended up like, spoiler, we never used it again after that short period of time.
To learn what the numbers kind of look like, and you took that, and then you just never used it again.
I
Yeah,
did a little
because
bit.
we
I did it at work.
Oh.
I would be underwriting deals at work.
They
I had the ability to, you know, because as long as I was meeting my numbers and whatever.
didn't
So
care.
that's a pro doing a job like that. Is
Yeah,
if you're hitting
yeah.
your numbers and you're commission based, like you can do other stuff like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So get a sales job, people.
Yeah.
Do it.
Honestly, sales people are in being in like a commission or just having to communicate with people is a huge like pro to have, especially in this game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. Or what about you? What were some of like the wins or struggles you encountered since then?
Yeah, I really think that when Shania made the comment about limiting beliefs, because that's always been my thing. It's like, you know, being what we started this when I was 25, like started diving into this, and even
Yeah.
going to like my old boss took me to a lot of different Tony Robbins events and
Okay.
made me a platinum partner, and like
Yeah.
it was so incredible, like amazing opportunities. But there was always that piece of myself that was holding my own self back, because I was like, here I am surrounded by all these people with a high net worth, tons of experience.
Mhm.
Like I am of the youngest in the group, like maybe 5% of us are around my age. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. I just gotta chill and life is just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then once we started really like investing in ourselves and in our own education, I think that's where a lot of confidence came in. And then it was like, oh, now we can start going to this real estate meetup. Like, when did we even start going to the Friday morning coffee?
I remember seeing about it and we were just like scared to go, you know, because talking about the limiting beliefs, we thought it was a bad thing to be the brokest, dumbest, youngest person in the
you
room.
learn real quick. That's a great
That's
thing.
your asset.
Yeah.
It is the best thing because
Yeah.
you're in there and you humble yourself and you just let go and you learn. And people come up to you and they appreciate you. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was hard. Just getting over that hump of just kind of getting over yourself. It's just an ego thing.
It really, that was like one of the reasons I named my business YoungPro, because when I started studying and all that, I was 21 and I'm 30 now, and most of the time people say I don't look 30, so whatever. But like I knew getting in that I looked so young that I wanted that if someone just saw it on paper that they'd either think my last name was Young, or when we met in person, they'd be like, okay, at least he's open and honest about the situation that he's in. So that's kind of always been like a big reason why I wanted to be confident in myself and know, like, look, I know I'm young, or I know that I look young, but like I'm here to make moves and stuff. But
Yeah,
when did
definitely.
we meet? Because we met at the breakfast meetup that we were just talking about.
I feel like it was probably like maybe 6 to 8 months ago. Like it was a
Yeah.
long
It was a
time when
while
you came
ago,
in.
But it
yeah.
was in the winter, because remember it was really cold out.
So it was probably last year. And you came in with that Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
There was a good chunk of people. There was like 10 or so people there.
Dude,
It's
they
a
fill
lot-
the room
it's a
now.
lot bigger
There's-
now.
Really?
Yeah. People have to stand along the walls.
Oh, I might go on Friday.
Yeah.
Too bad you guys are leaving.
I know.
or
We'll
whatever.
be,
You can
we'll
make
be
us
like
stop
halfway
it.
to Texas.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that 7?
7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. They
That's-
start
You
around
probably want to
7.
get there by 6:45 so you can get your coffee and sit down.
Gee, and is it still at Smoky Row?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just in the other room, the bigger
The
room.
bigger one.
The bigger room.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for Darson.
Yes.
Yeah, Darcy's
And now is he
killing it.
still leading it and everything?
Yeah. And he has
Mhm.
his own meetup. He's doing that once a month.
Yeah.
Those have been pretty big too.
He asked me to be a speaker at it, but when he initially hit me up, I was in Asia. I don't know if you guys saw. But
Oh,
went to
yeah, I
Asia.
saw that.
Yeah, I was, fun. So I was only supposed to be gone for like 5 or 6 weeks. It ended up being like 10 weeks long.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a
love
great
that.
time.
All your tattoos you're getting.
Dude, so I went to 7 different countries, got one in each country, but I came back with 9 new tattoos or whatever. So I was bouncing around. I see, which ones are your favorite? You're pretty tatted up.
I've got like Dracula tattoos over here on this
Really?
side. Those are my favorite. But yeah, so that's another thing. Like I'm young, I'm gay, I'm tatted up. That's another thing that I've had to get over. But people don't care about that at this level. It's really weird because I feel like once you get around people that are doing bigger things than you, they want to help pull you up.
Yes.
They
It is
really
the
do.
weirdest thing. They say like the rich, they're like greedy or, you know, well, maybe the rich are, but the real wealthy people, like there's a difference between being rich and there's being wealthy. But like I have some of the most genuine and just like wanting to help. And as long as you're like, you know, you show some interest or you be passionate about their story, they're just like unloading these information that sometimes just goes right over your head, but you can tell that they're doing their best to like be helpful in that stuff. But yeah, when I first started like this as well, I'm working like designing my sleeve right now, but I was gonna stay away for a little bit. I was like, no, I'm be this young guy with tattoos that has no money, no properties and shit.
That's so funny. My goal, so when we get to multimillionaire status, which we don't even have like a net worth right now, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
When we get to multimillionaire status, then I can have a pink mullet and I can get a neck tattoo.
There you go.
But I have to have that credibility
Yeah,
first.
you do.
But that's also my reward, right?
Yeah. What do you want to get on your neck?
I don't know. Like I like the sacred geometry. Lately, I've really been into like ancient civilization.
Okay.
So I think something like that would be really cool.
What's the cycles mean?
It's a song by this artist Tovlo. She was really popular. What was her popular song? Habits.
Oh,
on the radio.
I know Habits. Yeah.
Yeah. So she makes a lot of music, and I love her. She's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
She's been like my top artist on Spotify for I don't know, probably 10 years. Probably not 10 years, but something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just a song by Tovlo that I like a lot.
Well, let's hear now about the deal. I don't know much about it, so I'd love to hear as much as information as you can give or want to give, or how you got into it. Because you guys said you put $25K in, but like, what did the other process look like? How did you get to how did they bring you the deal, or just like what did that look like?
Yeah.
I think it matters to say that we wouldn't have had that opportunity if we wouldn't have joined our mentorship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the people that we invested with, the guy that we invested with was our onboarding coach. So to invest in a syndication, if you're doing a 506B raise, you know, you have to have a 506B.
So I have never done a syndication.
So it's with securities laws.
Okay.
So basically with the 506B, you're just complying with securities laws. But you have to have a relationship.
With the SEC?
Yeah.
Right?
The
Yeah.
SEC.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to have a relationship with the people that are investing passively with you.
You have to have a relationship with them.
A pre-existing relationship before you have a property under contract. So you can't have a property under contract and then go out and try to meet people to raise capital. You have to already have the database of investors that you've had a pre-existing relationship with.
Now, is that pre-resisting relationship, what does that require? Is that we've had coffee in the past? Is that we've done some kind of transaction together? Or what does that entail?
Well, the way we've been building up to is we just kind of keep track of when we met people, when the last time we had contact, the kind of conversation we had. It's kind of like, it's not like anything
it's a
like
gray
a
thing.
lot of gray area.
Yeah, you
with
can't like. There's no like definitive line of like, oh, because you two shook hands once, now you have a pre-existing relationship. So like that's where it gets kind of foggy. Like we could co-GP a deal and come to you to be a passive investor because we have a pre-existing relationship.
Okay.
And then if I were to say, hey, me and you you're gonna come in on our deal.
Maybe.
We just met, but that it might work. But it's like, you know,
It's a little bit more foggy.
Yeah, you don't want to like skirt securities.
Yeah. And how many people are involved in that? It's a GP, right? Or what did you call it? A co-GP?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a co-GP and a GP?
So a GP is like, if you were the only person, you're the person that's like finding the deal. You have the relationship with the brokers. You're raising the capital. You understand the market. You analyze it. Everything. You're managing the asset after it closes. Everything by yourself.
By yourself. Yeah.
And that's like one of the things that our mentor got held up on. He could only do a couple of deals a year because he was being the only GP. But then when you open up and you focus on this one thing you're really good at, and you bring in other people that are good at other things, you can spread out the work and do more, scale more. So that's like the beautiful thing about co-GPing.
Okay.
Yes, you don't get all of the returns to yourself. You have to split it up. But
but who cares?
More deals.
You're doing more.
Yeah, you'd rather have like a slice of the watermelon than the whole gosh damn grape. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and then to add to that too, a lot of like, so it's all a syndication. Like that's what this is syndicating. But the co-GPs obviously really care about their investors, because if we don't have our investors, we're not getting money. So if we can co-GP and have all of these deals going with people who do really, really good jobs, you're making your investors even more happy because you have all these opportunities going for them.
That makes sense. So I know probably not as much as you guys know about syndication because you're like in a deal. I've never done one, but I have a general understanding. Can you guys give us like in the listeners like a description of what the difference between a syndication and like just a normal real estate deal looks like?
Yeah, so the syndication is basically anytime you need to raise capital from passive investors. So in this deal, we are passive. We're not doing any of the GP side of things. So we're giving them our money and they're investing it. So the money, you're raising the money for the down payment. So when you're buying a $10 million property right now, actually a pretty common loan to value, they're raising like 50% of the down payment for it just because of how crazy financing is.
50% of the 20% that's needed for the down payment, or 50% of the value?
The down payment, yeah. 50% of the value, or the purchase price, I guess.
50% of the purchase price?
Yeah. Typically it's like 20 to 30%, but lately they've been raising 50.
Yeah.
And is that just to have the debt service lower so you have more cash flow?
Yeah. I think that's really what the point is.
Huh.
I honestly don't know.
I've never heard.
100%.
You're good.
But yeah.
So is that monthly passive checks you're getting, or quarterly, or bi-yearly?
It's quarterly. It's less of a cash flow game and more of you're making your money when you sell.
Appreciation
Yeah.
and
So like
depreciation.
for a lot of passive investors and like, well, especially us, because we only put in 25,000,
Mhm.
our quarterly checks are going to be like, I don't want to say worthless because it's still cash, but it's not like, it's not about the cash flow.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also about the tax savings.
That was about to say, so you get a K9, right?
K1.
Oh, K1.
Yeah.
Okay.
The depreciation.
Have you got one? You haven't gotten one yet then?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, we're going to get that in the mail soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so the other thing that kind of stinks about it is that is the only deal we've done so far. So we don't, as far as I'm aware, we don't have anything that we can use that depreciation for right now. So we're just going to have to carry it over.
You can carry it to the next year though.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah, one of us needs to become a real estate professional, and so then you can off-write the other person's income. So if she became a real estate professional, it could write off the taxes for my sales income, which would be
That's
nice.
nice.
That would
But
be
yeah,
nice.
so I'm trying to explain like a syndication. So it's bigger. We're typically doing properties that are 60 units and up because they can maintain an on-site
Themselves,
property management company
exactly, yep.
and still have some cash flow. On the passive side, you're making money basically when you sell.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of quarterly dividends, but not much. But when you're the general partner, you get an acquisition fee. So like it's usually 1%
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
You have like a 1 to 2% asset management fee every month. And then when you sell the deal, and it's usually an 80-20 split. So the passive investors get 80% and then the general partners get 20%.
Yeah. When I first learned about syndication, I found it like extremely fascinating. It was before I'd done any partnerships. So I had actually kind of taken that concept and made it my own, where I knew that I didn't feel comfortable with raising money from a bunch of different people, but I had like a doctor I was friends with and an attorney. Do you guys know Shag? The retail store here in Iowa.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I used to be a general manager there. Shout out to Rob.
Hey, Rob.
He's my old boss, and when I quit, I did this full time. So he's one of my private money lenders as well. But I took that idea of taking 20% off the top, and then I would, if the deal needed $100,000 to get done, whether that includes down payment and rehab or whatever it is, it needs $100,000. If someone didn't have me and could do it all, that would purchase 100% of the deal, right? But if I'm coming in and I'm finding the deal, analyzing it, having the team, the banking relationships, all those things, then that 100K would only purchase 80% of the deal. But I never wanted to be that person that made my investors feel like I had no cash in the game, just because of the relationships I had. So I'd always then do a cash influx of enough to purchase at least 51% ownership. So I'd get 20% right off top, and then I'd have to purchase the other 31%. So I like took that idea and like molded it into my own. And I've done that now multiple times with like the apartment deals that I have and stuff like that. But I want to learn more about syndication because you can just scale so much quicker. It's impressive. How many units is the one that you guys are in?
It's 168 units and it's in Arlington.
So you guys got more doors than me. Been doing this for a year.
Passive. So here's the thing. So typical returns for a passive investor, it's like a 3 to 5 year holding period.
Okay.
for these properties. So they're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
exit in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Or really, as soon as they hit their return expectations for the passives, they'll exit. So we're expecting 2x. We put in 25K, so doing nothing at all, nothing.
In
We should get
3
like
to
50K
5
back.
years,
Yeah.
you should get like 50K back.
Yeah.
Plus your depreciation along the way.
Yes.
Yep.
Plus your cash flow, even though you said it's not huge.
I think the cash flow would bake into that 2x.
Would it bake in?
Yeah.
It bakes into what?
It bakes into that, like that 2x
Oh,
is
it
the cash flow and
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know how they found the deal? Was this off market? Was this on Zillow? I mean, 168 units is kind of big for Zillow.
So that's a really cool thing about the community is all of these people I don't know exactly where they got the deal from, but a lot of these people buy and sell deals to each other in the community before they go out. And then the other thing too is like it's such a well-known and respected community that there's tons of brokers in the area that'll like as soon as you say, "Oh, I'm with this community," they're like, "Oh, hell yeah. Like let's do something." 'Cause they know we close. So,
yeah, the Sunrock community holds a lot of weight when you use that name.
Yeah.
But also, Brad has a buyer brokerage. So there's coaches, part of the mentorship program. They have a brokerage, and there's deals that we have access to.
That's amazing.
And
have
they
a
have
deal
the
box,
co-star
it's so
reports
nice.
and everything.
Yeah, everything already
So it's so
lined
funny
up.
because we'd be practicing underwriting deals. Next thing I know, someone in the group has it under contract, and they're raising capital for it.
That's so
so
cool.
Yeah.
That's
is
so
really
cool.
cool.
What do you think's been like the most helpful in increasing your confidence to put you guys in this arena where you don't feel too young or too inexperienced or too broke to just kind of get over that hump?
We were talking about that this morning, and I was saying like, no matter what's happened, like, yeah, there's been some like downfalls where I'm not always like perfect, like with my goals, like it doesn't always go smooth, right? You can't expect that, but I am 100% for sure, like where I want to be in 3 years. Like I imagine it at the highest level possible, and I do not doubt it at all.
What
Like,
does
there's
that
not
look
a single
like? What's
strand
that
of
look like?
like I want to be making $1 million just from my sales job.
Gross or net?
Net, but I don't know. That'd be nice. But I want to do it in a year.
That'd be pretty nice.
I want to do.
No big deal.
I want to do it this year.
You want to?
The most I've ever made is like 150K, but I want to make $1 million this year.
Yeah,
Right. That's crazy.
that is crazy.
And I don't care if I actually hit that or not because I'm going to aim for it anyways.
Yeah.
And even if I don't hit it, it's fine. I thought I was going to make $1 million this year doing Amazon, like fulfilled by
Drop
Amazon.
shipping or whatever.
Right.
Or FBA.
Yeah. But the point of the matter is like I've had this goal. It doesn't matter how I'm going to get there because like I know what I'm working towards and it doesn't matter how I get there. I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
If something doesn't work, I'll do something else.
Have you guys read 10X by Grant Cardone?
No, but we just did his 5-day Unbreakable Business Challenge.
Okay.
Like that literally just
How was
happened.
that?
It was really
Incredible.
good.
Like it was so good. And to add to that, I think TD Jakes was speaking on it and he said something about like if your goal is something you can do on your own, it's way too small for you. And I was like,
I like that.
yeah, I was like, that's incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's just so great. And it resonates with like, co-GPing and like
Yeah.
doing these big deals.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
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 But no,
What-
I want to make $1 million as soon as possible.
Mhm.
I want to invest in like passively, like probably 10 to 12 deals. I want to be a general partner in probably 12 deals
Yeah.
in like 3 years,
Yeah, yeah.
which is crazy. So usually like a rule of thumb for a general partner is to put in the minimum that you require the passive people to put in, which is usually 50K. So if I'm requiring a passive person to put in 50K, then I need to be putting in 50K.
I like that because it's like the same idea
Yeah.
that I had with like not
Yeah.
Skin in
you
the
had
game.
skin in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks better though if you can put in like 250.
Yeah, or something
Because
like.
our GPs did that. One of them put in like 250
Jeez.
because that just shows that they believe in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I'm like just seeing our life. We're renting a house for the first time.
do what?
We're renting a house for the
Oh,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
So I
okay.
see myself still living there in 3 years, but we have like a lot of money and we're like flying on our friends' jets because some of our friends have jets.
What?
That's why.
You've
that's
flown
why-
on a private jet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But
Okay,
we will
I
be.
was like,
We will.
The
okay.
opportunity is right there.
I'm glad we're friends now.
But look, the reason why I know that's going to happen is because of the people that we are in proximity to all the time are doing that, like at those really high levels. And so I
That's-
imagine myself at that level, but like in a short time frame.
That's amazing. I don't know. Oh no, I do. I do know somebody with a private jet. Greg Panini. I'm actually thinking about paying him $25K for his mentorship, which would be the largest mentorship package I had purchased. I've got like 35,000 probably in my education up to this point, but
Yeah.
I think like to really get, like as you guys said, to get to that like next level, you gotta be willing to like pay pretty penny, and everyone's just so like, oh, that's so much money, or like, you know, and it's just like, no, we're not talking the same game if you think it's that much money, because I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think he could 10x it. Yeah.
So true.
But to bring it back, I wanted to say something about 10x, because like you said it, like you've already read the book or something, but Grant Cardone talks about how if you have a goal and to 10x the goal, right? Because it takes the same amount of time to plan the path to get to that goal. Now, the end is going to look different, but the time it takes to plan that goal is going to be the same. Now, what goes in it is going to be different. But would you rather come up short on making $100,000 or come up short on making $1 million? And when he said that, I was that very typical guy that was like carrying around $100,000 check with a date, you know, like a future date on it that I want to cash in. I took that out, I put it on my wall, wrote $1 million one and put it back in my wallet. It's crazy, crazy.
I've been like manifesting, because I was like kind of in a dark spot like not too long ago. I was like just kind of going through it, like depression and stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing anything to help myself right now.
Yeah.
And so I started manifesting again. So I was literally writing down like, I'm a 20K a month sales rep.
Yeah.
And then the other day I'm like, I'm a millionaire sales rep. So that's what I've been writing.
Well, this is an interesting one. If we need to swerve, I've dealt with my depression, and I'm actually in therapy right now. Would you be comfortable with kind of opening up with that? I don't want to put you on the spot with that, but I'll tell my story or first or after, or whatever makes you feel more comfortable. But we haven't really got too vulnerable on this podcast, and I'd love to hear kind of what that looks like and how you've overcome it or dealing with it now.
Yeah, I'm cool with getting vulnerable. So like even like as a kid in high school, like I dealt with depression really bad and like suicidal thoughts and things like that. And it was just really hard because I didn't know why, because I didn't really come from like a rough place. You know, my parents were great. You know, a small town, but you know, my parents had some money, so everything was good. But I was just like a really depressed kid. And then I kind of was like hanging out with a bad crowd, doing some bad stuff for a while.
Yeah.
But then I met her and kind of got over it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, started making the come up. But just recently, like I think it's because of all the change, you know, like we're kind of depleting ourselves right now to make this move.
Yeah.
My mom's like got cancer that she's dealing with.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but it's going well though.
Yeah.
So it's really
Well,
good. But
shout out to mom.
Yeah. Hey mom.
Mama Cheyenne, you got this, girl.
And then like just everything going on. And also I'm not performing at the level that I want to with my job. And so I think it's just like all the change that's been impacting me mostly. And then it just kind of like hit me and I was like having bad thoughts again. And then I wasn't doing anything though. I fell out of my good habits. You know, wasn't working out, wasn't meditating, wasn't doing anything. And so there for a few days, I was just like, it didn't last long. Really, it was a few weeks, few days where it was pretty bad. But then I just like started forcing myself to get out of it. You know, I started meditating again, which is really big. What's really been helpful to me is to like visualize where my life was 3 years ago. Cause I like the 3-year chunks instead of 5-year chunks.
Okay.
I would have never imagined this 3 years ago. Like unbelievable things are happening right now that I didn't think were possible. And so that's why I can show gratitude for it. And I'm just really grateful for everything that I have. And I never used to do that. And I felt like I was forcing it for a while. But then like even just forcing it, you start to think about
forcing the meditation.
Forcing the gratitude.
Forcing the gratitude.
Yeah. And then just really thinking about everything I've been through and like, wow, this really made me who I am. Like everything that's happened in my life got me to this point. And then I can visualize myself in the 3 years and I do that. And I think that's what's really helped pull me out of it is just being really grateful and then visualizing at the highest level. And then just sticking to it. I haven't, but I want to.
I think everybody should go to therapy. I think that's super important. I have struggled with meditation. So I've gone through a couple therapists. And I'll kind of get more into the backstory of why I'm feeling the way I have or working on it or whatever. But like, I remember this one, I didn't even make it through 3 sessions before I was like, I'm never seeing you again. She was like, you know, I used to have a bit more aggressiveness. You know, I was picked on a lot as a kid. I was always very short and very slender, and being in special classes and blah, 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 blah. Like I just wasn't very physically equipped, nor did I have the vocabulary to kind of stand my own ground. So I remember her saying, like, when you're starting to get worked up or your aggression's coming, start meditating. I'm like, bitch, if I can meditate when I'm feeling this way, you think I'd be here right now? But the new one that I have says that don't try and focus on meditation when your aggressive is growing. Do it before, like, do it on like a more of a consistent basis so you can have a more level level head. And so I think that rather than meditation has turned more into like visualizing, that's been really helpful as well. But yeah, with like in the past 2-ish years, I went through like a nasty breakup that, you know, I was with the girl for like 4 years and I thought that was the person. And when I'd always imagined like finding someone before I had built what I have, so that to kind of ensure that the person I was with intentions weren't wrong. And she was that, you know, person. So when that went out, you know, Tyler was dealt with me a lot, and that was a, you know, a nasty darkness. And then like 6 years ago, I don't know if you guys remember the Ames Cornerstone shooting. That was my little sister that was in that. And so then that like sent our family into like another, just, that was a big reason I left for Asia. Like when it all happened, I was like, I can't, everyone's sad, which is fair, you know, totally understandable. But like it wasn't like a good spot for me to be around. So I just had to disappear, drop some money and do pretty much anything that had an adrenaline rush attached to it. But then I got back and realized that's not actually the way, you know,
You can't like consistently keep doing that.
Yeah. And so that led me to therapy, and I'm working out again. You guys do judo, right? Or jujitsu?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, we did Muay Thai really consistently for like 2 years, and we haven't for like, I don't know, probably the past 4 months. I miss it.
Yeah, I know. I kind of miss it too.
You don't even understand like the level of confidence you have when you're getting used to being punched in the face all the time by like these big dudes. You're like, you're this tiny girl and you're like, you know, getting punched.
Yeah.
But it's just nice because it takes a lot of strength and you have control. So it's not like we're like actually hitting each other hard sometimes, but it's just really cool to have that confidence to like defend yourself.
Yeah.
And like be able to take that. 'Cause
I think Mike Tyson said something like, you have a plan until you get punched in the face or something.
I'm really good at getting punched in the
face. You don't have a punchable face, though. I just want to throw that out there to let you know.
Well, I'm good at blocking it.
There you go. What do you do for your, you know, to relieve stress or to keep yourself out of a dark headspace?
So I really like working out, like lifting heavy, running, but I've also been really inconsistent lately. I mean, I don't know.
Tell us your background.
So,
I want to know more about Ivy's background. She doesn't talk about it very much.
I don't. So I grew up with a pretty rough background. Like,
okay.
As a kid, like I moved around a lot growing up. Like I always say born and raised in Iowa, but I just don't like to explain like, oh, I lived in the state of Washington for a couple of years. I moved around a lot in Nebraska for a little bit growing up. Lived in a couple different places in Iowa. My parents were drug addicts when I was younger, so I ended up getting pulled out and put into the system with my sisters. We were in foster care for a little bit growing up. So
did they get you back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like kind of weird. It happened in Nebraska when I was like in 2nd grade, I think.
That you were put into
foster care.
Foster care.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my grandma took custody of us, so she was our foster mom for a few years, and then we went to separate families in Iowa for a little bit again. So I was with one family and my 2 little sisters were with another.
Oh man.
But then my mom ended up getting us back. And I mean, it wasn't really a great situation still. And that was in Marshalltown. So I ended up getting into hanging out with a really bad crowd.
Yeah.
And these people were going down a really dark path, and I was about to start doing things that were going to lead me down that too. And then I had that, like, it was a stupid thing. Like, we're at a park in the middle of the night doing some dumb stuff.
How old were you?
I was 13 or 14.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it was like, there was a moment, like a quick moment, like my breakthrough. And I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? This action is exactly what put me in where I've been in foster care as a kid. I don't want to be like, my parents are amazing right now. I don't want to be what they were. And so it was like that flip of a switch. And then I was like, this is not me. Absolutely. And so then I ended up moving in with my dad because he had really like gotten himself like taken care of. He started his own business. So it was like really cool. So I moved in with him in Colfax.
So your parents were separated after the incident? Okay.
Yeah. So they were separate, and I ended up moving in with my dad, and just
when you were a sophomore, right?
When I was a sophomore.
Yeah. So you didn't actually like move and get into a good home until you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
So from 2nd grade to 10th grade was pretty rocky.
Pretty rocky. I was in a rough neighborhood as a kid, but I always took care of myself. So like, you know, in middle school, like I was in basketball. I did sports all year round. I was that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great home life. but I would be like, we had 5 a.m. practice every day in middle school. So I would get up, walk to school, like about 1.5 to 2 miles, walk my happy ass to school to go do basketball practice at 5, 6 in the morning.
That's so cool. I love this story.
Yeah, I just had discipline. I started working a job when I almost was 13, but like they got me started under the table. I was working at a pawn shop. And
at a pawn shop at 13 years old.
Yeah,
You know how illegal that would be today?
Yeah, I know. So,
it's illegal.
but I think that also kind of got me into like, I love scaling businesses. And I think that's what kind of led me into the operations type role.
Okay.
Because I would buy merchandise and price things for the business and stuff. But yeah, so anyway, I ended up moving to Colfax, kind of changed my life. So it's really weird now because I feel like even in Colfax, people didn't really know what I came from. And people look at me and they assume like, oh, like nice white
pretty
girl.
blonde
She's
girl,
from
like
a wealthy family. She's always
yeah.
got it going on. And I'm just like, no, not really. So I really, take pride in being able to pull myself out of that and really change the path for my family.
I really appreciate you guys' vulnerability. I think a lot of people can connect. And I think when you have like the opportunity to speak to an audience, when you peel the onion back a little bit and you're willing to kind of say some things that are a little uncomfortable about your past, it can resonate with people that it's like, it might not be the exact same situation, but it's not this pretty picture that, that everyone may have assumed for you. So I appreciate that. It did bring up a question I do have. Since you guys both work together, right, and you live together and all those things, what are the difficulties? Because you guys don't really get too many breaks, I'm assuming, if you're constantly talking about real estate, the syndication deal, and like you live in the same house, like I get a break from my partners and stuff. What are some of the issues or struggles that you guys have encountered as being not only just a couple, but like working together?
We work really well together. Like we have been together like almost 24/7 for a long time to where it's almost like the bad thing about it is when we're not together. Like if she goes away for a trip, I get pretty upset about it.
Anxious or
I'm just sad. I want cuddles, but I can't be cuddled when she's in the Bahamas or something.
Yeah.
But so I just kind of got this idea listening to like Layla Hormozy. I don't know if you Alex and Layla Hormozy. They're pretty big on Instagram.
Oh yes,
Love them.
Hormozy. Yeah.
People
He's
ask
a
her,
stud,
dude. Yeah,
His calves, man.
I love when they talk about their relationship.
They really have a good flow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard as many videos as I want to, but I've seen them a couple times together on like talking on a video or something, and they seem to have it pretty worked out.
Yeah, but I think the struggle that we have is like, I feel like we're like business all the time.
Yes,
which is fine. I feel like that's okay. But I want to focus more like in just PS and be in the moment sometimes. And people talk about, we study real estate, we study business, study sales, but we don't study relationships. And that's something we haven't done.
Yeah.
And so we want to like start studying relationship together and just like making sure we're being like the best partners we can be. But we get along really well. We don't always agree on some stuff, but we talk about it. I'm more of an asshole than she is, though. Like I'm an asshole.
She's an asshole.
To you or to everybody else? Okay.
No, she's a little baby to me.
Shut up.
Have you guys read The 5 Love Languages or the book Attached? Neither of them.
No.
Really?
We have like a Tony Robbins relationship thing though that we're gonna listen to on the drive down to Texas.
Okay.
That's gonna be our start.
Yeah, the 5 Love Languages was a really, really good one, as well as Attached. It talks about all 7 billion of the population falls into 3 different attachment styles. You have anxious, secure, and avoidant. And so like it was really I felt like the author knew me personally and was directly attacking me with this one book, because I happen to be like more on the anxious side where, if I'm in love with my person, like I want to be around them. Like I'd rather be with them than be alone. I'd rather have them with me during guys' night, like I'm just that kind of person. So I become very anxious or would send, multiple texts or something like blow up their phone. And so it was nice to like see that I'm like not alone in that feeling. And when anxious and avoidant are together, it causes a ton of of issues. But when an anxious person finds an attached or a secure person, they end up moving into a secure attachment style, and you both like can feed off each other because the secure person isn't bothered by the avoidant person or the anxious person because they're like secure in like their situation. And so that was a good one for me.
That
I
makes
really like
sense.
that.
Yeah, I want to
one.
read that. That
Yeah,
sounds like a good
attached was
one.
like those are like the two books when I think about relationships. Like I think those every couple needs to read those two books because there's such an inner reflection on how you feel and then like where your partner's feelings are at so that you can like love them the way that they need to be loved rather than just like, you know, you said you're a cuddly person. I fucking love cuddles. But like, yeah, exactly. But like if you're with a person that needs words of affirmation or acts of service, even though that your love language is different, you know, if you want cuddles, well then I'll just do the dishes or I'll cook for you, you know, one night to show you your love, fill your love bucket. And then by doing so, you'll be more encouraged to like fill mine. So,
Yeah, I love that.
I love the word love bucket.
Love
That's
bucket.
my
Love
mom.
bucket.
Shout out to my mom.
Yeah, so cute.
So funny.
So what's the plan once you get to Dallas?
Yeah, so once we get settled in, I really want to do more of the podcasting. So I just like content's really big for me right now because that's what I want to. So the content thing is doing a lot for me. Like initially it was to get people to know, like, and trust me. And if I'm putting my face on the internet multiple times a day, the people I want to do business with, they see me.
Yeah.
And they like me.
Yeah.
They come up and they talk to me whenever we're down there.
Yeah.
They trust me because I'm teaching them stuff. Right. So there's a know, like, and trust. And I have the following. So I want to be able to raise capital with the following.
100%. It is
yeah.
so much easier. You just look more established.
Yeah, and it's just cool because like our mission. So like our investing company is Astro Capital. We named it after our dog Astro. But like,
that's so cute.
the mission
How
is
did you
to-
pick one of the four? Right? You guys got
He's
four
not
dogs.
even my favorite, but it was either Astro, Sin, Elsa, or Stormy. But like
Okay.
Astro Capital
Yeah,
sounds pretty
that does
cool.
sound
We
pretty
like
cool.
to joke around about Astro. So he gets what he wants and he's ruthless to do it, or annoying, I don't know. But like they're all the dogs have like there's 4 dog beds and 4
He's
dogs.
a black Great Dane lab mix.
Yes.
Oh,
he's a big
he's
dog.
a big dog.
Yeah.
Big dog.
But like he'll be laying on a bed and then he gets up and he sees another dog on their bed and he wants that bed. So he will like bark at them like crazy and then they get up and move and then he takes the spot, makes it all comfy.
He's
and
got
chills.
integrity, man.
And so we were like, you know what? That's Astro Cap.
Okay. I
But like
that.
the mission is to help 50,000 people secure an abundant lifestyle by investing in apartments. And now I'm doing it like 2 ways because I'm getting people into a mentorship to help them be GPs.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm also doing it by investing in real estate myself and then raising capital from passive
From that,
investors.
yeah.
So like that's what I want to bring to the table is like, so it's a 506c raise. The 506b is you have to have that relationship. With the 506c, you can raise, like you can advertise online and you can raise it from anybody as long as they're accredited. But they have to be accredited.
And what that's a net worth of $1 million?
Yes. Or
And
200,000 income.
Gross, right? Yeah. I read a little bit about that. What was the first video that went like viral for you, or when you started making content? How many followers were you at?
So end of August, this 2022, I had like 800.
800?
Yeah. So I went to a Tony Robbins event. This is all of Tony Robbins events, man. It's crazy. It was Business Mastery. A guy named Todd Hartley was on stage talking about like selling using video. And like, if you like send like a selfie video, like kind of talking about your thing, people are 80% more likely to buy versus if you just like called them or texted them.
Okay.
So I already knew I wanted to start posting content, right? But then that kind of like set me over the edge. I'm not like selling things on my Instagram, but I'm selling myself to people. And so that made me start doing it.
What was the first?
The first video.
Yeah,
I
the
forgot
first
about that
video.
part.
Yeah, you're good.
So I first started talking about books I was reading because I really didn't know a whole lot about like investing at that point, and I didn't feel confident talking about it. It was kind of like imposter syndrome. So I started talking about books I was reading, and it was a Leal Lowndes, How to Talk to Anybody, and I think
What was it again?
Leal Lowndes, How to Talk to Anybody.
Leal.
Leal.
Yeah, it's her name.
Leal.
Oh.
Sorry.
You're good.
Patrick. Sorry. You did that. But the tip was like the flooding smile. And it's like when you meet somebody, you don't just like go up and you're like smiling like this. Hey, it's so nice to meet you. But you're like, hey, it's nice to meet you. And then you smile. And it makes it seem more genuine and sincere and like for them. And so it didn't blow up for like a month or so, I think. But people got pissed off in the comments because like, oh, you're faking it. This is what murderers do. You know, you're faking this genuine smile. Like you're a narcissist and
Be
like
yourself.
crazy
What?
stuff.
Yeah.
But listen, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it blew it
Comments
up.
is engaged. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's had like 1.5 million plays. Like
Oh my.
I think like
God. On
250K
Instagram?
likes. Yeah. And that started it. And after that, all my stuff got pretty big. And I did like some other books. Like I started doing that once a month with like a Leo Lowndes book. I need to do it again because my stuff's really slowed down.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure that out still. But whenever I would do a Leo Lowndes thing, like it would just blow up because people would argue about it in the comments. And then just recently I did a post and I said like being broke is a choice because like you're not tracking your finances, you're not doing all this stuff. And then people were just pissed off in the comments again, which I kind of had multiple reasons for doing that because I believed in what I said. Because like just I'm talking to someone like me who's making 6 figures and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Like that's who I'm trying to talk to. But a lot of people that follow me are like, you know, they're coming in the comments like, oh, but like poverty and like just all this stuff. But I'm like, you know, we all got choices we can make. Anyways, people were going at it in the comments, blew it up. I lost thousands of followers instantly, but then I got thousands more. Like I ended up getting more on the end.
Yeah.
What?
At the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's
I
like,
got my target audience.
yeah, she's starting to get more into her quality of follower, but it's so crazy because she any post that she makes, there's someone in the comments like arguing it, and it's like, why do you turn every single thing around? It's weird.
It's
I'm
fine.
like, but it's
fine.
also interesting too, though, because it's like, so I feel like a lot of these people would comment all this stuff and type it out, whatever. But then it's like, if we were face to face,
You ain't.
you're not saying anything.
You know, I know Muay Thai. You ain't saying.
That's
like
one of my
so
pinned
crazy.
post too, is a Muay Thai
Yeah,
post.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Just so they know, like
Yeah.
right out the
Yeah.
bat, you can catch these hands. I don't discriminate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But like the first time that happened, like I was pretty upset. Like, and I was just on my phone constantly, just like reading it. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I was kind of worried and I didn't understand, but like it's fine because honestly, like all of that is just free marketing.
Yeah. It really is.
Like who's that guy everybody hates lately? I can't even think who it is. There's always somebody that
Yeah,
everybody
they
hates.
yeah.
But they have like millions of followers. They make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
It's part of the
I'm
game.
not going to make everybody happy and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a nice person. Like I
Yeah.
am an asshole, I
Yeah.
think. And like, I'll be me.
That's so. Was it? You're right. 'Cause so I consume not as much content as I used to. I mean, I pick the content I consume now, but I've never really seen anybody dive into like singular books and hit the highlights. So like when I think of that, you guys were kind of the first people to start doing that. Did you see someone else do that, or was that genuinely an original idea that you two came up with?
I didn't see a lot. The most I've seen about that is I think people are just too scared to put their face on camera. And so a lot of the book posts I would see, there's like highlighting and it's just pictures of the highlight.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know what else. Like I was like, all I knew is that I needed to add massive value because that's what I learned at Tony Robbins. You know,
Mhm.
I was like, start making videos, add massive value. I'm like, what am I doing? And so I'm like, I'm reading a lot of books. Like I'm trying to learn this stuff to be an entrepreneur. So that's what I can do to add massive value. And that's just what I started doing. And I want to kind of get back into it. But the thing is like, I'm not reading a crap ton of books anymore. Like I'm just focusing on a few.
You're executing, yeah.
Yeah. And mostly lately it's been like sales books and
Yeah.
like marketing books.
They don't work. They don't come
don't.
off the same as
Talking about real estate doesn't work that well either.
No, it doesn't.
Talking about mindset works a lot.
Yeah.
And like communication skills. But yeah, communication skills are huge. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to do another Leo Lowndes post today,
Yeah.
I think,
That's really
and
cool.
do that. But yeah, it's just kind of hard because I've seen a lot of people that are trying to get big, but I've noticed if they're just talking about real estate or someone like me, because I haven't like done the big things yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to be like, you know, do this, this, and this.
This,
And this is
yeah.
my experience because I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have that yet.
Yeah.
So it's just like working up to that. But like, think about it. I haven't done anything crazy yet and I have 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like by the time I'm in a few deals and like doing stuff, like I'll have a
Jeez.
lot.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And you'll be able to leverage that too, just to get into. I didn't even know you had that many followers until after me and her saw each other the other night, and I went back to your page to look at everything. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I had no idea.
Yeah.
So this was since August. So this is we're talking like a 5-6 month span
Yeah.
from 800
Had to
to
count.
100,000.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the quickest growths I've heard of. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I paid a guy like $300 because it's really jumped down a lot lately. I'm actually losing followers a lot faster than I'm gaining them. And I'm just like trying to figure it out. But I have a guy I paid $300 and he's like, your hook sucked. Like you need to do your hook
An,
better. And it's really
Instagram
good.
mentor.
Yeah, an Instagram mentor.
Really? And how many followers does he have?
I don't think he has as many as me on Instagram, but he has a lot on YouTube. It's just what he does. But it's been helpful. Like I can tell a difference in my cadence. Like if you go look at some of my earlier videos, it's kind of boring and I take a long time to get to the point.
Yeah.
And now like I can hook people in a little bit better. I'm getting to the point. So I just think the quality is better. But that's just how it is.
Are you paying an editor?
No.
Because you use Word. I see your words pop up. That's all you guys?
It's like an app called Captions.
Oh,
which has been taking me off lately because it like works half the time.
Yeah.
And so it's just
their stock is gonna go down after you just said that.
I already left it.
You got enough followers.
I don't like talking crap on stuff. I don't like leaving bad reviews, but it just like irritated me to the point that I went and left a bad review because I contacted support and I'm like, hey, this is happening. And they're like, well, you need to do it like this. I'm like, no, it's not even giving me the chance to like, because it'll go in and like take out the spaces. Because the way I do it, I have a script I use a lot of the times. I'm really bad at just free flowing.
Yeah.
And so there's an app called Teleprompter. So I'll write up a script, I'll put it in there and I'll space it up. So like what it looks like, the original video is like me reading. Then I pause and I go, like try to get my zone back to like look happy.
Yeah.
And then like I read another line. And so I love the app because it'll take out those blank spaces and it just looks better versus me just like talking. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But it won't catch out the blank spaces sometimes. And then it's just me like looking like an idiot. And then I have to go and like edit it more and it just takes more time. But eventually I would love to outsource it. I don't want to keep editing.
I'm super blessed. Like Tyler's very gifted and we've been rocking for 3 or 4 years. Like we started and it wasn't as consistent as it is now, but I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I get to sit down and be like the talent and he's like the behind the scenes man.
Yeah.
And I don't nearly pay him as much as I need to for this stuff, but we have this vision of where we want to go and like what the kind of people that's we're going to meet along the way. And we both see the value. But what is like, either like an advice you can give to somebody that's either scared of making content as well as like someone who has gotten over that lump. They don't have a bunch of followers, but something that would help them maybe get some extra traction.
Yeah, I think definitely getting your face on camera and putting yourself out there, you're going to suck at first. Like, that's just how it is. Like, go look at my old stuff. The very first video I did, I could not breathe. I was not breathing the whole time. And I went, it was really bad. But you got to put yourself on camera, put yourself out there, and just add like whatever value you can add to somebody and just focus on that and how much you can give. And then consistency.
Yeah.
Doing it all the time.
Huge, yeah.
Because it could take months, it could take a year. But if you say like, I'm going to dedicate myself to doing this for 5 years, you're going to do it. And like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I'm losing followers right now, but I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And like, I'll get to my goal eventually. So like, that's really it. I think if you could put yourself on camera right now on Instagram, the reels are getting a lot of organic growth.
Yeah.
So yeah, just doing that. And you'll get better as you go. You want to be as clear and concise as possible. Get your message across.
Cross quickly.
Yeah, but just start doing it.
Yeah.
Seriously, just start doing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Are you specifically keeping that video on the internet so that you have that to go back to and kind of like, in a year have like this comparison of what your content used to look like to what it looks like now?
Yeah, I mean, I keep them all up. I don't delete anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. Like I already do it. Sometimes I'll go back and like, man, that's boring. Like I just need to remake the video and just make it a little bit better, which you can do too.
Yeah.
So when we were watching the Grant Cardone thing, he said with your marketing, post it and then pretend like nobody saw it, and then just keep like sending your message. And you would understand that if you were in his email list because he's like blowing your shit.
Oh, he
up.
does it all the time.
But yeah,
it's crazy.
So, and my mentor just told me too, I had the Instagram guy just like a repost. Like that with one I just did. That did pretty well. He's like, you can do that every 40 to 72 hours. And I did it and it did pretty well again. And I was surprised. So like you can repost things, but like put something out there, pretend like nobody saw it and just keep going.
Do you
like,
keep it on your feed or do you remove it from your profile grid so it's only in your Reels list?
It's on the grid.
It is on the grid.
Because all of my stuff, I literally only post Reels. Every now and then I'll post like a carousel picture.
Yeah.
But I only post Reels. And that's why nobody can like make a fake account of me because they can't take my Reels. That's the only reason why I think that hasn't happened yet.
I have at 9 a.m. I gotta hop off for.
Yeah. So
But-
I was
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up
Oh, no,
real
you're
quick
good.
though.
Yeah.
Goals
Yes.
for a year
Oh, yeah.
so that we can have you back and I can hold you accountable to these goals. So let's hear yours first.
Oh my god. I feel like our goals are always like our together goals. Okay, so my personal goals is I want to get back into my freaking flow of working out.
Okay.
And I'll have ran a marathon by the time I see you again.
I ran one. Yeah.
So those are my personal goals.
Okay. Business.
Business would be active investor in at least 2 syndications.
Okay.
So that we want to get that done before the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So something that we want to do. Have you heard of Bedros Keuilian?
Mm-mm.
He does like the suck fest, I think is what he calls it, but it's like this Japanese concept. It's like the end of the year, every year you do something really hard that you think you would have no chance in like doing. And an extreme example is like somebody goes and stands under a waterfall in the winter of Japan for like 6 hours.
Oh,
Something like Misogi, something
Misogi.
crazy.
Yeah.
Or you like run a marathon or just something that's really hard for you to do.
Yeah.
So we didn't necessarily do that, but we want to do 4 6-week challenges. So every quarter we do like a 6-week challenge. We're like, ooh, maybe we're learning salsa dancing for 6 weeks.
Okay.
Or we're going to train for a marathon for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe once I'm in Muay Thai, I'm training really hard for 6 weeks. I'm going to go fight for the first time.
Yeah.
So we want to do 4 6-week challenges this year. And I think that just keeps help us stay on track. It's really hard. It's really easy to get off your goals and your habits.
Yeah.
So that's like a personal goal. But yeah, we want to be in 300 units as active. So like the average deal size for a beginner in our mentorship program is 150 units and one deal.
Yeah.
So we want to do 2 GP deals. So I'm assuming 300 units.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we want to be in 300 units. I don't know, maybe 0 debt because we have debt right now, like 0 bad debt.
Yeah. Income producing debt.
Those are kind of like the 2 main focuses, like the 6-week challenges to keep us on track, and then get into 300 doors.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this could have kept going, but I don't think you're
I'm
about
so
to move.
sorry.
No, totally understandable. So I really, really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.